How's it going there, YouTube? So here I am with the review of the Galaxy S2 Epic 4G Touch. I've been playing with this phone for the past couple of days. I've been putting it through its paces. Took it out, tested the GPS. I've been testing the battery life. Basically, you know, anything you can think of, the durability of the phone without a case, with a case, you know, taking it out and actually testing it out with the sun actually hitting the phone, downloading apps, everything that you can possibly think of that you might do to the phone. So you're going to obviously take pictures, you're going to maybe sideload your music in here and all kinds of good stuff. So I've gotten a pretty good idea of you know, of the phone, whether it's a good phone or not. For those of you that don't know, this phone is rocking a 4.5.2 inch Super AMOLED Plus display. It is not QHD or 720p. It is WVGA, which is 480 by 800. This phone is running on a dual-core 1.2 dual core Exynos processor. It's running on 1 gig of RAM. You know, the phone has all the usual suspects. You have Bluetooth 3.0, Wi-Fi BGNN. What else? It's a very thin, very light phone. It weighs 4.6 ounces, so it's a very, very light phone. A little too light for my taste, but we're going to get to that once we actually start talking about the phone. This phone is running on Android 2.3.4 Gingerbread, and it has an overlay skin of TouchWiz 4.0. It is proprietary to Samsung, and that's what you're going to see. It's obviously not running stock Android. So we're just going to get into that now. Starting the review, I'm going to start here with hardware. Basically, if you've had a Samsung phone in the past, whether it's like the Samsung the Nexus S4G, or the Nexus S, which was made by Samsung, or any phones that are built by Samsung, you're going to know that they're not the best quality. You know, Samsung likes to use a lot of plastic. Their phones are a little cheap feeling, and you know, that's just what you get with Samsung. Other companies like HTC or LG or Motorola, their phones have a little more heft to them. They're just a little, you know, they have better quality materials, and you know, with the Galaxy S2 it was no exception. For it being this big and this light, I think Samsung had to go this way. You know, I'm not crazy about the hardware, but some people might like it, some people don't. I don't really dig the hardware, but that's why I bought a case, which is this case right here. It gives you a little more heft. It protects your phone from scuffs and scratches and, you know, cracks or whatever. Hardware here, you have your volume rocker on the side, you have a 2 megapixel front facing camera, you have an LED notification light, which is very, very important. Now that you know, you get a text message, an email, a missed phone call, this is going to blink red. Something that you didn't get with say this phone here, my Nexus S4G. You had no notifications. You actually had to depend on downloading an application that had like little icons. With this one, you have the LED notification there. You have 4 capacitive buttons, and again, Samsung changed you know, the way they are here. On my Nexus S4G, you had back, menu, search, and home. In this order, you have menu, home, back, and search. I don't know why Samsung likes to do that, but they did it this time around. You have the power button on the side, not on the top. You have it on the side, just like Samsung likes to do it. You have an 8 megapixel camera in the back, which shoots 720p and 1080p. Records pretty awesome video. You have the speaker grill down here on the bottom. You have this textured back. It's got like a pattern, and you know, it's pretty resistive. You don't get any fingerprints or anything like that. And then you have the two logos here that are actually edged in, Galaxy S2 and Sprint. That pretty much does hardware here. Again, I'm not too crazy about the hardware, but that's personal preference. Maybe you might like the hardware. To me, it feels a little cheap, but that's just my opinion here. Battery life, you have a massive 1800 milliamp hour battery. That is very, 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 very good. I'm able to get about a day and a half, and I'm a hardcore user, so gone are the days with my Nexus S where I was able to get 3 to 4 hours. This phone actually does a very, very good job at managing battery life. I don't know if it's due to the Super AMOLED Plus display. AMOLED screens actually save a little bit of battery. I don't know if it's because it's a bigger capacity battery or if it's due to the dual-core processor. But excellent battery life, excellent battery life. Capacitive buttons down here on the bottom, since we're talking about hardware, they're not the best capacitive buttons. I'm going to show you that right now. If, let's say, you're in this screen here, actually, let me lower the brightness here. If you're on the last screen here, right here, you're here, and you want to tap home, sometimes you have to double tap. It's with the rest of the buttons as well. If you want to push menu, it's hit or miss. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I don't know if it's my specific unit. I'm gonna have to go to the Sprint store and double check on that. The capacitive buttons aren't the best feature on this phone. I never had problems with my Nexus S, but the capacitive buttons down here really are a little funky here. The front 2 megapixel front-facing camera here actually records. I'm trying to talk too fast because I have 10 minutes because of the camera here. The 2 megapixel camera in the front records pretty awesome video. If you have some good lighting, you're gonna be good recording video and shooting pictures. Also for Skype, it's excellent. I was able to Skype with my girlfriend through she also has the Epic 4G Touch and a computer, and it worked flawlessly. The 1080p video recording with this 8 megapixel camera is actually very solid. The 720p is even better. It takes some awesome picture stills. Actually, let me do that right now. We're going to take a picture of this hard drive. Okay. In Samsung fashion, every camera that they've had ever since the Epic 4G was really solid. You get some nice details, and with this vibrant Super AMOLED Plus display, you're good. So that pretty much covers hardware. Again, hardware is a little shaky, at least in my opinion. Actually, let's talk about reception and the radio. Wi-Fi is solid compared to my Nexus S. I was able to use the Wi-Fi without any problems. Very solid Wi-Fi, and again, you got BG and N. 3G and 4G, that's a different story. It doesn't have the best radio. 3G was a little funky as well. The 4G in my area is a little it's not the best 4G, but also the radio in this phone isn't the best. If you're coming from like a Photon 4G, you have a very solid radio there. With the Evo, what other phone? Like a Palm Pre or any old school phone, those radios were actually a little bit better. This phone doesn't have the best radios, but actually they're not. I mean, it's not too bad. It depends also on the area and whether you have Sprint coverage or not. So the radios are okay, but they could be a little bit better. Now, talking about software here, you're running at Android 2.3.4. Again, you're running TouchWiz on top of that. And overall the phone performs very well. It's the smoothest phone that I've played with, and we're gonna get into that in part 2 because my camera only records 10 minutes at a time. So we'll talk a little bit about the software and some of the things that I didn't like about the phone, some of the bugs that it has, and what I think of it, and whether you should go out and spend $200 or if you should buy it off contract, if you should sign your life away for another 2 years, and whether you're on the fence of maybe you're thinking about this phone or an iPhone 5 or a Nexus Prime. So stick around for part 2, and we'll talk about it then. So I'll talk to you in part 2.